My story is about from grass to grace. It all started when I was enrolled in the police force in 1999. And I was posted to Gweru at a small station in Mkoba. And I worked there for 4 years. Then after 4 years, you write your exams for you to be promoted. And when I wrote my exams, I passed and I was promoted to the rank of sergeant. And whilst I was a sergeant, I got the opportunity for the UN duties, and you are supposed to write exams also. I went to Harare and I wrote the exams and I passed. And when I got back to my station, that was in 2008. And when I got back to the station, it did not go well with the officer in charge at that time. It all started when I was enrolled in the police force. And when I graduated, I was posted to Gweru at a small station in Mkoba. And I worked there for 4 years. And after 4 years, you have to write exams for you to be promoted. I wrote my exams and I passed and I was promoted to the rank of sergeant. Then when I was a sergeant, I also, because I was so hardworking, so I got the opportunity to go to the police driving school, and I was now a police driver, and that made that a qualification for me to go for there was this opportunity to go for UN duties, and for you to go for the tests, you have to be a qualified driver. I wrote the SAT tests that are written for you to go to the UN. Then I passed those tests. And I went back to my station in Gweru. But my officer in charge, when I got there, the environment had changed. And in my own words, I can say he was not happy with me going for those UN duties. I broke the record by becoming the first woman to go for those SAT tests and pass. My officer in charge had gone, but he failed. That's when the story of hatred came from. In 2008, he cooked up a story that I had taken a bribe from a certain lady who had come to the station to report a case. And I was charged. They call it criminal abuse of duty in the police force, and it's under the Police Act. So if you are charged, that means it's the end of the story. You won't go for the UN duties. I was suspended from my duties as a police officer, and I was demoted from the rank that I had at that time. I'd worked for about 8 years to get to that rank. And I had written for the other rank of assistant inspector and I had passed. I'd been waiting for the board interviews. But because of the suspension, if you are charged, you won't be able to go to the next rank because you will be having a charge on you. Suspension means being demoted from your rank, from your duties as a police officer, from anything that you were supposed to do as a police officer. You won't be doing it. You won't be recognized as a... I will be... At that time, when you are suspended, you will be doing work of a general hand, cleaning the charge office, preparing tea for even the junior police officers who once worked under you. You will be doing, if they tell you to run errands for them, you will go and do it if you are on suspension. And even cutting the grass, everything, that a dirty work you can think of at a police station. If you are on suspension, you are supposed to do that. That is what I was doing when I was on suspension. So it was so heartbreaking. It was so devastating. I was somebody who was recognized in the society. I was that tough lady that you can think of. That tough police officer that people, when I walk in the community, people would shake that lady has come. They knew me. But because of this suspension, it went around the community that lady that you knew is no longer doing her duties. And I would spend most of my time in closed doors. I was afraid to come out to face the public because of what I had been doing previously, that good job that I had been doing in the police force, and where I was now, being suspended, no longer doing what I came from in the police force. It was really painful. And whilst I was doing that, I could go to work and report at parade at 7:45. Then I will do my duties and go home. Then come back at 3:45 to knock off duty, because you have to parade off duty also if you have paraded on duty. But you'll be getting your salary. If you are not yet charged that you had done the crime, you will be getting your salary. When I was doing that, my mother came. It was my mother who came. She was sick, and she came to my house. And she said, since these things that are happening on your TV, I don't want them. I want to listen to gospel preachers. And I told her, I can look for something else for you from these gospel preachers who are in Zimbabwe. And she said, there is this pastor who is called Pastor Makandiwa. He preaches very well. And I said, I don't know him. I've never heard of that person. And he said, go and look for that CD. You will find it on the market. It's there. And I went and looked for it. And when I found it, we played it, and it was so good. The word, I grew up, I went to other churches, but I'd never heard such kind of word. And I said, what kind of a man is this? And which church does he go to? But my mother didn't know that. So we kept on buying those discs, and we were listening to them. Then in 2010, I asked someone, and he was from a certain church, and he told me that he knows Prophet Makandiwa from Harare. But I did not pursue that at that moment. And it is the time also that I decided to retire from the police force. Then in 2011, when I was coming from Harare, I then saw some posters that were for Kwekwe launch, but I didn't see that they were for Kwekwe launch. And on that day, I thought it was for Gweru, because those posters were placed on the way when you are getting into Gweru. So I thought the launch, and I said, this is the man that I was looking for. If he's coming to our city, then truly this is the church that I'm going to go to. I dressed up so good on the day, preparing for the launch. I wore my best dress, that even my husband asked me, sweetie, is this really you? Are you dressed up for this launch? And it was so good. And I had high hopes. And I even thought I was the only person who knew about this launch. That's when I went to Gweru Showgrounds. But there was nothing. But I did not lose hope. And I said, I asked someone, and she said that it was in Kwekwe. The launch was in Kwekwe. And then I said, when he's in Kwekwe, he's going to come to Gweru. So I waited also. And in May, on the 11th of May 2011, Prophet Makandiwa came to do the launch. This time I was really sure that he was coming. I invited a lot of people. I didn't even know him. I didn't even see even a DVD. I was only hearing him from CDs. I did not even know what kind of a man was Prophet Makandiwa. But I invited people that you have to come and see this man. I've heard a lot of things about this man. And I had my pickup. It was full of people going to Gweru Showgrounds. And we went there. I went late because of work. And when I got to the place, I was shocked to see a huge crowd. And I said, is this man so popular? I thought he was just a mere person. These people coming from Prophet Makandiwa, I think this is the right man for me in my life. And that's when he preached, I said to myself, wow, where was this man all along in my life? And that's when I changed my mind and I said, I was not a believer. I'm going to give my life to Christ. From that day, I began to be under the ministration of. While I was in the police force, I started a small business of selling carpenter. And after I retired, I got a shop, a small shop. It's like a tuck shop if you see it. But from a mere capital of about $700, I was the one who was running that business after I had retired, because my husband was still working and I was managing everything. And while doing that business, I was under this anointing, and it moved me so that I thought of myself, I was tired of renting. I wanted my own shop. I then got a stand that was underdeveloped, and it was also being paid in installments because I didn't have the cash at that moment to buy it was a 3-month installment. Then I paid for the shop and we built it. Even people were amazed that we had bought that shop. They even thought it was not ours. They said they have a relative from America who is giving them money, because these were just mere police officers. Where can they get money from to build this kind of a building? What can you expect from the grace? When you're working under this grace, you can expect things to flow. That people will even think that, even my relatives will even think that I had juju. But under this anointing, things were just flowing. I got my first shop, and it was the best shop. Even now, you come to that shopping center, it's the best shop. They used to call it the shop of tiles. And then, after about a year, it was in 2012, the year of results, I then got another shop. And I think the motive of this owner was to con us. But because of the grace upon our Father in our lives, he didn't manage to do that. And we won the case and we won the shop. Right now, it's also the best shop at that shopping center also. And we now have 2 shops that are our own. We are not renting. And during that period, we also managed to buy 2 houses in Mkoba. And we had, at that time in 2012, we also managed to buy 3 cars. It was a year of results for us indeed. I don't think there's any other person who got results like we did in that year. And in 2013, things were just flowing under this ministration. People, even the ones that I used to work with in the police force, they didn't believe. And I was just telling that it is just the grace of Prophet Makandiwa which is working in our lives. People didn't believe. And that was in 2012. My husband was not coming to church by then. I was the only one who was coming to church. Then there was this service. When I went to the service, and the pastor said it was Prophetess Ruth Makandiwa's birthday, you have to sacrifice something. And I had a $50 note, and I sacrificed it. And he said, you don't have to write anything. You just have to tell God what you want. And I said, I want my husband to come to church. And I prayed to God. And I remember Prophet Makandiwa talking about God having his tools box. If you want your husband to come to church. I prayed to God about this. And in January 2013, my husband got sick. And he was admitted at Gweru General Hospital. And it was on a Saturday when he was admitted. And then Sunday, people from church, they came. Our leaders from church, they came and prayed for him. And he got well. He was supposed to go for an appendix operation, but he didn't go. And he was well. And I know that Prophet Makandiwa was the one who healed him. And on a Tuesday, he was discharged. Then on Wednesday, he was in church. From that day till now, he loves the prophet more than me. And I'm grateful that we are now together under this anointing. And we have managed to acquire more things whilst we are together. Even if you've got high hopes in life, thinking that those hopes will lead you to somewhere, God has got his way of doing his things. He can twist around the good to the better, to the best. Like what he did to me. I thought being a police officer would make me achieve what I wanted. But God has changed it. He has twisted it from better to best. So if it can happen to me, why can it not happen to you?